BYD says that its rapid electric car growth cannot be stopped, even without electric car grants. BYD is saying it doesn't matter if there's subsidies from the government, all of that makes zero difference. No matter what, they are going to continue their rapid growth. Right now, the facts would say otherwise, but as in the month of August and July, but you never know. The rest of this year could be a big sales success for BYD. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. Great to have you with us. If you'd like to become a YouTube member, I'll put a link in the description below. The global EV leader is unleashing new electric cars in the industry's fastest growing car segments. It's actually growing its sales significantly in Europe, in particular in Germany. BYD sales in Europe this year have grown 180%. That's really helped BYD, along with its sales in Mexico and Brazil and Australia and Thailand. It's really helped them to offset their losses in China. BYD's sales in China declined by 14% in August, down 14%. Their plug-in hybrid sales were down 24%. In fact, plug-in hybrid sales are actually down in China, period, as well. It's not just BYD. But because it sold more cars internationally, its sales didn't fall. Its sales actually stayed the same in August of this year versus August of last year. BYD says they're going to see big sales growth in Europe and the UK. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. The UK's new electric car grant offers buyers a discount of $5,000. That's £3,750. That's off the price of a new EV. New electric vehicles are eligible for a grant of $5,000 or $2,000, depending on how sustainable the manufacturing process is. That's going to be a really hard thing to prove. Now, I have heard there's a battery company called Ultium, and they use almost all recyclable stuff in their batteries that they make in the UK. So it might be the UK government trying to encourage car manufacturers to use Ultium's batteries in order to get the full subsidy. I don't know. The program takes into account the energy used to produce the vehicle. Chinese automakers, including BYD, have been excluded from the savings. So if you buy a Chinese EV in Europe, you don't get these subsidies. Anyway, BYD says, irrelevant, we're going to still basically dominate in the UK. I actually think that's probably very likely to happen. BYD's Executive Vice President Stella Lee said that being excluded from the grant won't slow its rapid EV sales growth in the UK. Instead, Lee said the UK's new electric car grant was not fair to consumers as it left Chinese brands out. Now, obviously, the UK is trying to protect its own auto manufacturing segment, which is declining, and it's trying to protect probably Europe as well. It's probably some sort of deal with the European Union potentially also. So, is it unfair against Chinese car brands? Well, to be honest, not really. Maybe Stella should talk to the president of China and tell the president that maybe they should get rid of all the taxes that there was on cars imported and sold in China, which were pretty significant, right? The tariffs and taxes on cars sold in China that were not made in China over the last 20, 30 years resulted in, probably hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in tariffs that were paid. So I don't really think that you can come into a country that has its own automotive industry and expect them to basically subsidize Chinese cars. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if BYD does well in the UK, and I believe they absolutely will, good on them, all power to them. But to criticize the UK government and say that Chinese manufacturers should benefit from subsidies directly from people in the UK, basically people's taxes are paying for it, right? I don't really understand what she's thinking here. I think a lot of the stuff Stella says, I'm confused by it because she's sort of become very vocal and very, in my opinion, Stella has become the Carlos Tavares. Carlos Tavares, who was the outspoken CEO of Stellantis. And I feel like Stella's kind of becoming that person now. Somebody told me in China, a car executive, that the idea is her strategy is to make as much noise as possible, get more headlines, and to say things that can sometimes be a little bit outrageous in order to get more headlines, which I think is a really good strategy. But the fact that BYD then criticized people for apparently talking negatively about them, I think is a bit weird. You've got to expect that if you're going to say things that are a bit, sometimes a bit out there. Anyhow, BYD have introduced its own savings initiative to reward drivers choosing to go electric, which is good. The company is offering 5 years of free maintenance on new EV purchases, including the Dolphin Surf, which is actually the Seagull, should have just called it the Seagull, the BYD Dolphin, and the BYD Atto 3. Approved used vehicles are also eligible. BYD increased its battery warranty to 8 years and 200,000 kilometers. That's 155,342 miles across its entire lineup of electric and hybrid vehicles. The warranty includes those who have already purchased the car. CATL, BYD's direct rival, they're saying that their new battery, lithium iron phosphate as well, that will have a warranty of 10 years and 240,000 kilometers. So good to see some rivalry between BYD and CATL. Customers will benefit from longer battery guarantees. We understand that customers are looking for more than just savings up front. They want lasting value and assurance, said Steve Beattie, BYD's UK sales boss. While we may not currently be part of the electric car grant, we didn't want to wait to show our commitment. With a series of new electric vehicles rolling out, BYD will cover nearly all segments, including entry-level, mid-sized crossovers, SUVs, luxury cars. I mean, the BYD Shark might roll out in the UK as well. I mean, they make it in right-hand drive, why not? So they're going to cover off every segment in the UK, and they'll price them at a price eventually that will probably undercut everyone. So they'll definitely take market share. The Dolphin Surf is BYD's cheapest EV. It costs £18,650 in the UK. That's 25,000 US dollars. Sounds expensive, 25,000 US dollars for the BYD Seagull, considering it costs, I think, $9,500 now in China. But there's quite a few taxes you've got to pay to sell cars in the UK. So that's actually a really good price, 25,000 US dollars. Cars are actually quite a bit more expensive there than they are in other countries. Autocar says it's the 5th cheapest electric car in the country, behind the Citroen Ami. The Citroen Ami, I mean, to be honest, it's got I think it's got 40 kilowatt. It's only got about 80 kilometers of range. It's not really a direct rival. The Leapmotor TO3, the Dacia Spring, and the Micro Microlino. The Micro Microlino is basically a Citroen Ami, just sort of rebadged essentially. So the actual real alternatives to the Dolphin Surf are the Leapmotor TO3 and the Dacia Spring. The Dolphin Surf, though, is cheaper significantly than a Hyundai Insta, as it should be, and a Ford Puma E. Now, apparently, BYD has actually sold 25,000 vehicles in the UK this year, and that's a massive number compared to what they sold in the UK last year, which was 4,000. They've gone from 4,000 to 25,000. Amazing. I mean, imagine when in the future when BYD are actually selling their updated cars with their new batteries and new BYD Blade batteries. There's two of them, two different versions. Both of them are much better than the existing Blade battery. Imagine when all their cars have those batteries, and when they also have all the God's Eye C, upgrades from Momenta, improved ADAS systems. I think they're going to be really good. And I think BYD sales in Europe will significantly increase. And that will offset some of the losses that they're, like I said, seeing in China. Now, I do think that BYD sales are not growing at the kind of pace BYD expected. If they were, BYD would not have just downgraded their sales figures from, I believe it was 5.5 million this year. Now they're saying they're going to do 4.6 million. So that's a downgrade of 900,000. I don't think BYD expected that to happen. So they're not growing really at this point in time. But they certainly could over the next, I'd say, the remaining, what do we got, 3 months left of the year, really, essentially. They certainly could increase their sales, particularly globally. I mean, their increase in sales in the outside of China has been enormous this year, and they're really growing fast as a global car manufacturer. That takes a long time to set up the dealerships, to set up the brand recognition, and I think they've done quite a good job of that. But subsidies do matter. Price does matter. So to get to that next level, I do think they might need to reduce prices against some of their rivals, like those other models I mentioned. If those models are cheaper and people looking in that cheap segment, they might be buying those ones instead. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.